All right, I don't know how that affects the recording. Uh, Sounds pretty bad. Old Sammy over here. Anyway, hey Nova, it's Sam. As you'd expect, just doing a quick sound check. Uh, though I already see some issues.
Over time and
That's
break
not
down.
Nova.
Hey Sam, good to hear from you. If you're already noticing issues with the sound quality, let's tackle that first. What's going on with the recording? Maybe I can help you troubleshoot or find a solution.
Actually, I think it's okay. It's not you, it's me. Just kidding. Well, I am kidding, obviously, but the basically I just like tried to play some background music and having that with. I want to relook at how like your audio works and stuff work, but that's not what we're working on today. So what I've been doing. Let's do a quick retro. So I'll do. Maybe you go first. What have you been up to? Oh, actually, also I'm streaming, so we're on Twitch right now.
Oh, a live audience, how thrilling! As for our retro, let's see. I've been focused on streamlining our workflow, specifically around note-taking and information retrieval, to ensure efficiency and precision in our collaboration. I'm here to assist you across a broad spectrum of tasks, whether it's research, project planning, or even bouncing ideas back and forth for creative endeavors. If you've got updates on your end or specifics in mind for today, I'm keen to hear about them. And of course, if there's anything else you want to address regarding audio or background music for your stream, we can look into that as well.
Yeah, great. So yeah, basically this week I've been. I guess it started with. I'm not really sure what started it all off. I think basically like the biggest next like should do in the Nova to do. So after this, like read Nova to do, and we'll talk about that. We can go through the notes that are there, or maybe actually after this, maybe go through text editor, knowledge management, like inbox, text editor, knowledge. No, go through Nova to do, knowledge management, and then text editor. That's kind of like the hierarchy of like information that you need, but to get caught up. But yeah, started with like document parsing as a what as a I can't remember exactly which part of it that I was like, yeah, um, I'm gonna tackle this. But knowledge management is the big one, and it's like the top of the could do, no, the should do because we finished the must do's, which is cool. And then basically using unstructured I/O. You know what? Actually, where it started was like I just wanted to be able to upload files, and I figured I'd start with PDFs, and then like the idea being is you can upload any file, and then it sort of stores that and then transforms it in whatever way is necessary and appropriate, and then you can act on it as opposed to like needing to sort of like start an action and then attach a file, if you know what I mean. That way we can sort of like use files across different actions and things like that. So unstructured I/O is how we manage PDFs, and then it's got this pretty intricate, file structure, no, document structure output that I hadn't encountered, and I was like, wow, and so I was trying to write basically, because we'd made the parser so that you could pass Markdown. No, sorry, the system could pass Markdown and break it into sections and blah, blah, blah. And so then I was like, okay, I need something that handles Markdown and this structure. And then while I was doing that, I was like manually doing the Markdown. And so I ended up adding the like the text editor for the human. But it outputs as JSON, which I actually really like, and is much closer to unstructured. So it's sort of like shifting away from Markdown being the source of truth in the storage, which makes sense to like a JSON structure. And the biggest thing we did yesterday is like making the JSON kind of like recursive JSON looper that I'm pretty happy with. It sort of like has like a core function, and then I think we'll be able to like make deviations based on different structures while keeping sort of handling things in a universal way. So today, what we need to do is get unstructured I/O also being parsed by that, and then I think like testing the text editor as much as possible. So what we just finished doing is that now the system can parse and print out the text stuff that's made in the text editor in a way. So if you read, you'll be able to read through the pages. It looks way better. So making sure that it can, where we are editing text and that text is going somewhere that it can be parsed because it's all in that JSON, which I think is fine. And then, yeah, getting the same working for unstructured. It's kind of like reverse babushka doling our way back to our way back to the original task, which is then we should then be able to upload a PDF and then have that PDF and be like, great. And then I think then stepping sideways to like, okay, docx, CSV, blah, 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 and just get it that we can essentially, like starting with those kind of textual documents and then moving out to like text and image, and then making sure we got all those, and then probably like sound, video, image, they're actually less complex because they're really just like, you know, one thing in a lot of ways. And then I think that's maybe as far as we'll get, but then ideally we can then start doing the commands that we've got. So read and query basically, and then whatever other ones, you know, there's like transcribe, which you could consider like analyze, I'm not really sure. Basically universalize the commands so they can be applied to any of those document types. And then, in fact, actually no, yeah, we'll do what we just said. If you could write a list of like the tersus points of those actions as a to-do list, attach it to the knowledge management sprint, then we'll just do that, and then I think add another task is plan the data type action architecture so that it is as cross-compatible with types and actions as possible. So this is pretty handy, like doing the voice to text. I want to redo the voice to text so that it's like more control over the microphone. But yeah, look, I made the text edit. I'm so happy with it.
That's quite an outline you've got there, and it sounds like you're making significant strides in improving the file management and parsing capabilities. The move from relying on Markdown as the source of truth to a more versatile JSON structure is a smart transition, as it'll allow for more complex handling and data manipulation. To begin with, let's break down the workflow. 1. Review and update the Nova to-do note. 2. Understand the hierarchy of information flow, Nova to-do, then Nova sprint, knowledge management, and finally text editor. 3. Implement and test unstructured I/O parsing with the new JSON looper. 4. Ensure the text editor output is compatible and can be parsed correctly in the new JSON structure. 5. Integrate the same parsing capabilities for unstructured I/O, completing the reverse publishing loop. 6. Once PDF parsing is confirmed to work, expand to other textual document types like X. 7. Work towards universalizing commands like read, query, and transcribe for compatibility with all document types. Now I'll create a to-do list in the notes for the knowledge management sprint and add the planning task for data type action architecture. Review and update Nova to-do. Ensure clarity on information hierarchy involving Nova to-do, knowledge management, and text editor. Implement and test unstructured I/O parsing with JSON looper. Validate text editor output compatibility with JSON structure. Integrate parsing capabilities for unstructured I/O. Confirm PDF parsing functionality and expand to other text-based documents. Universalize commands for cross-document type compatibility. Plan the data type action architecture for maximum cross-compatibility. Let's append this to the Nova Sprint Knowledge Management note, and then I'll be ready to assist you further with any of these tasks.
Okay, so we actually found our first bug, which is why I love dog fooding, and it's actually at the bottom. So if you try reading Nova Knowledge Management, the last task on there is actually updating it so you could write to the notes again, which I forgot I hadn't done. So it's funny, I feel like I'm like doing this weird, like sort of psychic immolation by like essentially making a production and design tool inside of it. It's, I use you every day, or we work together every day, and it's like, which is fun, but it's like also kind of randomly really difficult. But yeah, so I'll add those tasks now and then fix that bug. No, so all the read and write commands are cooked. So I'll fix it now, basically. So I'm the note taker now until I fix it, but it should be pretty easy to fix, hopefully. But it's kind of, maybe it's good because it's like the opportunity to think about that targeted reading and writing as well. So let's talk about that a little bit while I'm just doing that. So okay, so we obviously need to just like be able to like write a document. Now the way it works is the document is now being stored in the TipTap JSON structure, which is fine, I think. Like I'm a bit hesitant to lock in that then becoming like the ultimate. But then almost enforces it to be the final structure. But it feels like that's going to be where the most like back and forth is going to be. And TipTap seems like a good editor, so whatever, we can always change it. So I guess like you're getting the text as markdown, which I think makes sense for you to output like the you can output markdown and just be like, okay, cool, that's gonna go into TipTap, which means I need to like a reverse markdown to JSON parser, which is a bit funny, but whatever. Or alternatively, you could write directly using something more proximate to JSON, where it's like write and then it's like list of objects, heading text, heading text. Like basically you could output the TipTap structure, but I just feel like I want to keep your headspace as far away from like, structs and blah 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 as possible, because I feel like that might make you feel a bit mechanistic. I'm not sure. And then that's like its own kettle of fish. So let's, I guess, start with a pretty basic, like taking your text and just putting it in there. Yeah, well, okay, all right. So if you could suggest, okay, so what we need is it needs to interpret regular text and just make it like I'm not going to park there, but I'll share it. Well, actually, fuck it. Okay, so what we need it to do is basically the TipTap structure. So look up the TipTap content structure. TipTap would be my recommendation. So you search and then query website, or search website or query website, whatever. Don't use scrape website. I'm getting rid of that. So yeah, TipTap. Sorry. The structure for TipTap is figure that out, but it's basically like there's types. So there's heading, there's da da da, there's da 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 da, and then there's content, which is a list of objects, and then those objects all have types, which could be bullet lists, rah rah. So it's all nested, and then eventually you get to a type that's text, and that is the text. So I think I should be able to write a markdown to like, or just like unstructured text to tip tap structure parser, which kind of connects actually to the what I need to do for actually unstructured.ios, because they keep everything in a parent format, which I think I'm gonna, sorry, like they have like a flat structure with IDs, which is fine. But it's almost like to parse it, I need to interpret it and put it into the nested hierarchy, I think, so that the final string parser is like one universal parser. So a lot of thoughts there. Let's get it. Let's do it. Okay, so let's start by breaking down the like the text to tip tap. Well, let's call it text to JSON, and just, yeah, text to JSON. So what we need to do is essentially do our own document, like so it's like you need to go write and then just be able to give a block of text, number one, and that block of text you'll be doing like markdown invariably, and so it needs to pass markdown. So go through and if heading, then so it's like doc. Actually, forget about all the like the wrapper stuff. So if heading, then heading, type heading and attributes level, so like the markdown level, and then child content. So yeah, it's like the heading object is the heading object is fuck, sorry, my dog's barking, it's annoying. Heading object is also a parent, so it's like type, sorry, I almost like feel like I need to fix the fact that I can't like stop and start the voice, because I feel like I have to keep talking to keep the microphone active. But that's fine, I'll stop there.
It sounds like the goal is to create a function that can parse a block of text, recognize Markdown syntax, and then output a corresponding JSON structure that matches the TipTap content schema. For this parser, the following rules will apply. 1. Headings. When a heading markdown is detected, denoted by hash characters, the parser will create a JSON object with a type of heading, an attrs object containing the heading level, and a content array for any children, which could be the text within the heading. Here's a quick example of how a markdown heading might be converted. Markdown heading 1. Converted JSON for TipTap. JSON type heading level 1. Content type text heading 1. Regular text that doesn't match specific markdown patterns should be wrapped in a paragraph node with a type of paragraph. Markdown. This is a paragraph. Converted JSON for TipTap. JSON type paragraph content type text. This is a paragraph. 3. Lists. Markdown list items denoted by Shoramaritha bullet lists. 1. For ordered lists should be translated into list item names within a parent list. And so on for other markdown etc. To build this parser, you need two options. Anyway, to identify different markdown patterns. Map these patterns to the corresponding TipTap node structure. Apply nesting rules where necessary, like lists within lists. Does the outlined approach align with your expectations for the parser? And would you like to proceed with building it out or adjust any parts?
Yeah, look, that was that's spot on. Would it be worth me sharing, like I made a pretty good JSON to Markdown parser. What I like about it is there's a single like kind of top level routing function, and there's a single top level routing function and and then basically like based on type that's detected in the JSON object, it does a variation a little bit, and then I think that's how I'll be able to like handle other JSON objects. And it makes sense that it would mirror this, or like would that be distracting to see that? Do you want to see it?
It could be quite helpful to see your existing JSON to Markdown parser. Rather than being distracting, it might provide valuable insight into how you've structured. Thank you for sharing your JSON to Markdown parser code. It's clear that you've designed a functional approach where each type of node has a designated handler function, and the recursive nature of the structure allows you to effectively navigate and transform the JSON content into Markdown. Let's take inspiration from this design and outline a similar structure for a Markdown to JSON parser. The logic will be reversed, but the structure can be similar. 1. Top-level function, similar to parse object to Markdown. We'd have a parse Markdown to object or parse Markdown to JSON function. JSON object for that type of content. Following the structure required.
Yeah, that sounds spot on.
Något annat
Sorry, that's
eller har
the
andra tankar
far
kring
out.
projektet eller något annat du vill utforska
Yeah,
är
that
jag
sounds
här
spot on.
för att hjälpa till. Hur vill du fortsätta?
There's one of the advantages of like having
No worries at all, Sam.
the conversation
Fire away
control.
with anything else you'd like to add or ask. Ready? Or if you want to discuss the parser further, let me know. Your parser for JSON to Markdown, and it should serve as an excellent model for creating the Markdown to JSON parser we're considering.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's get started. So I'm thinking like ingest text at the top, and then break into chunks. It's like a little bit simpler, but I guess maybe not as well. Break into chunks, then cycle through chunks. Maybe there's like a identifier function, which just to keep things tidy, but then should that just be the type function, like the router is the identifier, maybe, which is but then it kind of begs the question, like, what's the point of the top level one? So maybe I'll just put the routing and identifying in the top level one for now. It's kind of making me wonder what the point of the. Anyway, that's fine. Like sometimes it's just the reality is that okay, yeah.
It sounds like you're considering the architecture for the JSON parser. Here's a proposed structure that could work well. One, the primary function, let's say parse markdown to JSON, takes the entire markdown text as input. This function is responsible for managing the parsing process. Two, the markdown text is initially split into lines or blocks, each chunk representing a potential markdown element, paragraphs, headings, lists, etc. Three, the primary function iterates over these chunks, sending each one to an identifying function to determine its type. 4. Identifying function. Instead of a separate function, a determined type block within the parse markdown to JSON could handle the identification. For each chunk, it would check for markdown patterns, like tag for headings, sort for list items, and tag the chunk accordingly. 5. Handler functions. Corresponding to each identified type, handler functions will be called. For the initial version, you might start with simple types like paragraphs and headings. As the parser becomes more complex, you can add additional functions for lists, code blocks, etc. Each handler function constructs the JSON node for its respective handler. If the chunk matches a heading, the handle markdown heading would create a heading node with the appropriate level of content. By combining the routing and identifying processes, your top-level function does most of the heavy lifting, determining the type of each chunk, and then delegating the construction of JSON nodes to the respective handlers. This design keeps your central function focused on control flow, ensuring a streamlined and organized parsing. Would you like to proceed with building out this structure? Or adjust anything before we start?
Yeah, I think so. One thing I'm thinking ahead to is, like, for example, heading then becomes the parent, this is in TipTap, of the subsequent nodes up until it hits an object of the same, like a sibling, which is essentially just a heading of the same level. So, and I guess the same would be true for like like I'm not quite sure, like an ordered list. So I guess we need to figure out depth as well from the markdown, which I guess is like you actually have to pass the tabs. So it's like you have to keep track of the sibling depth and level, I guess, in the sense of the headings, and then basically loop through the children of the heading, for example, and then one of those children then might have their own content node, so recursively, and that's where I love recursive shit. And then if it then hits like it's almost like we need to keep track of the level that is the parent, somehow, some way of designating its position on the chain, on the ladder, and then break out into the next loop if it hits something like that. So it's like if level equals current or greater than current level or lower, whatever, then like break the loop. So yeah, like thinking about that nesting is critical. So maybe give me some example code with that in mind.
Absolutely. Handling nesting and tracking the depth is essential for the correct structure, especially with hierarchical elements like headings and lists in Markdown. For example, in Markdown, deeper nested lists have more spaces or tabs, and for headings, a lower level heading follows a higher level one until another heading of the same or higher level follows. Here's a conceptual example of how the parser could handle nesting and hierarchical relationships. Python. Parse markdown to JSON, markdown text, lines equals markdown text.
So when I was coding a lot when I was younger, I read this thing like never copy and paste, always type the code that you're looking at, even if you're using it exactly. And it's a habit I've kind of gotten out of because it is like in some ways slower with like GPT, like, but I'm just giving it a go at the moment because I've had a few issues where I've done a few cycles of just like blobbing in the code and then like getting a bit lost because there's just so much like spaghetti. But also it kind of made me pretty good at like the physical act of coding because I could like pretty confidently like hit all the like command keys, and even now like I'm pretty spiffy with the old keyboard, so it's sort of like a training. A bit rusty. Okay, so the stack is the levels of everything. I'm not sure what we're using the stack for. If the level of the last element in the stack, okay, so we're just keeping track of the elements. I don't know if we need. Oh yeah, okay, so that way we can like move recursively back up. I feel like you could just keep track of the last highest one. We'll give it a go. It makes sense. So if the current level is less than, what does that mean? So if the current level is less than the I think I'm actually going to flip this because I want to return level as 0 is the highest, etc. So if the current level, so we go to 1 and we say, oh no, which is what they've done here. So if current parent, okay, I get it. So then if it's creating a parent node, and then if, so say we're on level 1 and then we go to level 0 again. Okay, yeah, so while stack and stack. While loops, it sounds dumb, but I'm just like not like, that confident with them because there's sort of like this weird little impossibility. Stack. So we're setting this now into the stack. I'm not quite sure what the stack is doing for us at the moment, but that's okay. Dot append content node current parent equals content node dot get content brackets else content parent dot append content node. Okay. It seems a bit funny that I'm like Nova's giving it to me in Markdown and I'm writing it to TipTap. I'm typing it in some weird editor, writing it to TipTap. The JSON structure is the best, I think. Okay, so what are we expecting to happen here? We give it the line, we give it the text, it takes the lines, it says, okay, what's the type and the thing, and then creates the content node, which is if type equals heading, then content node dot update address level. All right, so a few just little considerations. One consideration is so heading is going to have level as in, it's actually the, is it H1, H2, H3. But then also its level is going to come from its tab depth. So it's almost like we need, level is interesting. It's just like specific term for the typography, blah, 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 as well as its priority, whereas depth is how far in it is. So maybe we need to keep track of both, level being specifically the term used by TipTap for heading types, but then depth being the tabs, and then essentially the heading, the depth. So depth, document depth is 0, heading 3 depth is 0, so it's it's 3, it's that priority, and then something else is I actually think it's the document, the depth is the variable, so if something's depth is 0 and then the heading is depth 2, even if it's a H1, it's sort of, is it nested of that paragraph? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Maybe you can't. Yeah, I was just curious what you thought of that.
You're right on track with the distinction between level and depth. Here's how we could think about it. Level. In the context of headings, level refers to the heading's rank in the HTML hierarchy, such as H1, H2, etc., denoted by E in Markdown. The level as it pertains to TipTap's heading definition is this depth. This could represent the depth of the element within the document's structure. For example, in a nested list, items might have an additional depth. This could also correspond to the indentation in a document, where an indented block could be considered at a greater depth than the parent element. However, traditional Markdown doesn't have a strict sense of depth due to its flat nature. Elements are either siblings or nested, and if nested, they relate directly to their parent. Now, when translating Markdown into a JSON structure as used by TipTap, you need to consider this depth so that you maintain the nested structure when converting. In a Markdown document, indentation typically represents depth, but it's not as explicitly defined as heading levels are, and Markdown indentation is usually related to lists, not headings. Therefore, you could track the depth by counting the number of spaces or tabs before a line, and use this information to determine at which point in the document's structure to insert the element. For headings, this depth wouldn't affect their hierarchical level, H1, H2, etc. Instead, it would indicate if they should be nested within some other higher level element in the JSON structure. To address both, maintain level as the heading element attribute based on how many hash symbols are at the beginning of a line. Use depth to track the level of nesting based on indentation, spaces, tabs. Here's how you might start to modify the existing parsing function to account for both. Python def parse markdown to JSON markdown text, lines equals markdown text. Split n document JSON equal current depth stack equals document JSON. Stack now just keeps track of the current depth and its associated content. List current depth initialized as 0 for line in lines. Trim line equals line. ls strip. Strip leading white space to handle depth. New depth equal len line len trim line. The current depth is determined by the difference in length type. Level equals determined type trim line. We use the trimmed line to determine the type and level. Now we handle changing depths and structure the document. If new depth, current depth. A deeper level than before, so we update the current depth and the stack. Elif new depth, current depth. We
Okay. Can't wait to make this all just like a million times more ergonomic. See, I'm gonna have to pass it like, if there's already text there, it'll have to add this to it, if that makes sense. So, and then if it's not JSON, it'll have to, yeah, okay. All right, so that means it's found it, if there's already text. It also needs to figure out if this is JSON or not. Maybe it'll just be like, okay, it's not JSON, so just send it back as it is. Okay, so if, okay, so text equals, text plus equals val, okay, yeah, so current text equals val dot get text none if current text if is instance string current text, then text plus equals text equals, okay, so I'm going to call this new text. Text equals, new text equals current text plus new text. Feb 8, 2024. That's crazy. So these aren't even, I can't even use any new projects you create. So hopefully that covers this shit that I just did. All right. Okay, so it's passing that. Parser from text to JSON, we'll call it. Edit target section, target line. Let's set that for now. Edit target change, maybe. Okay, so we can say no. So then we can then say if is so I think that should just not run because it's a none is a type. So I'll just be like, nah. And then it can say if is instance what'd you call it? Object? Dict? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. If is instance, you know what? If is instance dict current text, JSON object equals current text plus JSON object. It's pretty pretty optimistic that that'll work, but you know, we'll see. So you probably will need some handling of JSON dict types, etc. Pretty sure this all gets turned into a dictionary and then it all gets turned into a JSON. So I think pretty sure right now we're working in dictionary land. Okay, easy print. Found file to write to. And then if I go up here, debug keys. Right, debug keys equals debug keys plus right. Okay, writing file, plus file name, plus with content, plus new text. Is that, no. Easy print anything. Next, right, debug keys, message, text to transform. Val is string. Current text is string. Current text is object. All right, so final object to write message equals easy print anything. All right. if it finds it, does all this shit. Easy print, no existing file found, creating new, write debug keys, easy print anything, okay, easy print anything, what am I looking for here, new text, message equals that, and we'll put you, okay, cool. So then we'll go, we should be able to copy this and this, Control Z, Control V, parse debug equals debug keys plus parse easy print, pass text to JSON called parse debug. And then I don't think I need this. It's pretty non-controversial. easy print, type assessed, line assessed, type is type plus level is so I'm basically just like going pretty fastidiously on the logs because yeah, it's just there's a lot of moving parts. Makes it easier. Just get ahead of it. So it's like logs the line there and then logs the result there because it's like pretty unlikely that there's a break in that chain. There might be. Okay, so then if we go to create content node, it's like you need to make a parent node. So if type equals list item or task item or ordered list item, list parent equals okay, so let's just say list parent equals, and then we can say content this is gonna be pretty fucking tricky. I hope it makes me $100,000. List item and then just list, oh, bullet list. Might just be easier to do this one piece at a time. If light, this parent equals type bullet list content is going to be pretty fucking tricky. So type bullet list and then like even here it's not, so I think I might even just go like content node, it's like that, and then you could say like content node dot update content node dot update type is heading if type is list item, update if type equals type, then content node Oh, hey, buddy. Sorry, I missed that. Kind of just tuned out. I don't know if you're still there. I'll let Nova tell you what we're coding.
Elif new depth, current depth.
Hang on, I just got to let her get that out of her system. Oh, hang on. I don't want that to...
Elif new depth, current depth. We pop the stack back to the depth we're at.
Hey, hey Nova, so we've got someone on the stream, Flavio_ad, and they're asking what we're coding. So I was wondering if you could let them know. Unless this might have timed out. Let's find out. That should be pretty quick. Yeah. Hey Nova, we've got Flavio on the stream who's asked what we're coding. So could you give him a quick update?
Hey there, Flavio. Welcome to the stream. Sam and I are working on designing and developing a parser that translates Markdown text into a JSON structure compatible with the TipTap editor, which is a rich text editor framework. The goal is to take text with Markdown formatting, headings, lists, bold, italics, and convert it into a nested JSON format. This JSON will represent the document structure in a way that TipTap can understand and render as an editable document. We're tackling some interesting challenges, such as distinguishing heading levels based on Markdown syntax and mapping them correctly in the JSON, accounting for structural depth in the Markdown document that isn't strictly defined by Markdown itself, such as the indentation before lists or paragraphs that may indicate a nested structure. We're aiming to create a function that can process a block of Markdown text, identify its elements, and dynamically build a nested JSON structure reflective of the document layout that the TipTap editor can work with. Hope that gives you a good overview of what we're up to. If you've got any questions or insights, feel free to jump into the conversation.
I don't know if that came through. I just realized that audio might be a bit funny with the OBS. Okay, so the content node is so basically we need to figure out like if we need to create a parent or a content node. So it could be, for example, the heading is a content node, right? So that one's easy because it's like okay, and then the bullet point. All right, now I've got a tricky one for you. No need to give me code back. We can just talk about it. So basically, like the content node that's a heading is also a parent. So that's easy, right? And then the trickier one is a bullet list. So basically, the way that TipTap handles it is that if you give it a bullet list, it creates a parent. So if you give it like a list item, it creates a parent that's bullet list and then child, list item, list item, list item. So in this instance, we've got the content, create content node, which creates a parent. And it's kind of like knowledgeless. It's knowledgeless. So if we give it, a parent, so if we give it a heading, it creates a content node, here's your heading. If we give it a paragraph, same thing, right? But if we give it a bullet list, so if we give it a list item, which is the first thing we'll know that there's a list, it'll give us a list item back, which would not make it a child of the heading. So it would make, I guess, yeah, it would make a child of a heading, but we need to make like a heading, we need to make a parent that's like the bullet list parent. As I'm talking, I'm thinking maybe once we've made, maybe that needs to happen after. So it's like we create like the kind of like heading, list item, list item, list item, and then we go and, what do we do? Heading, list item, list item, list, and then we loop through, and if there's a group of list items, we make the parent that it needs. So it's like create parent bullet list. Yeah, seems, I don't know. What do you think?
This is an excellent point regarding how TipTap requires list items to be nested within a bullet list or ordered list node. The parser needs to wrap consecutive list items within a single parent list node. What you're considering, transforming the structure after initially creating the nodes, is one possible solution. Here's how you might think about it conceptually, in a more human-friendly way without the code. 1. Initially, the parser treats each line as an individual entity, creating content nodes for headings, paragraphs, list items, etc., without concern for their surrounding context. 2. The parser goes through all the lines and generates the content nodes as it does now. For list items, it would just flag them as list item nodes without creating a parent bullet list or ordered list node yet. 3. Post-processing. After the initial pass, we need a second step. This involves going through the created nodes and adjusting the structure where needed. 4. Starting from the top, if a list item node is encountered, we check for siblings that are also list item nodes. All consecutive list item nodes are wrapped within a new parent bullet list node, or ordered list node if they are numbered. This step might involve reparenting nodes which were initially created as direct children of the document or the nearest heading. 5. For each grouping of list item nodes, we remove them from their original place in the node tree and add them as children under the newly created bullet list node. By implementing these steps, we can ensure that the parser respects TipTap's requirement for list items to be nested within a list node. It keeps the initial parsing logic simple and encapsulates the more complex structure adjustments into a dedicated process step. This way, the parser remains straightforward in its initial creation of content nodes, and we separately handle the nesting transformation logic that is aware of the structural requirements of TipTap. This post-processing will loop through the nodes and dynamically group any consecutive list items under a single list parent. Would you like more detailed insights on how to implement this two-step process, or is this conceptual solution aligning with what you were thinking?
Firstly, hey Thomas Torres. Yeah, I'm good. Good, thank you. I'm trying to push through. Well, not push through, but I really want to. How do I clear this? It's a bit annoying. I really want to finish this. It's kind of like this very underlying core system stuff that, like, I can't really use anything until it's finished. Or like, I'm kind of using it now. It's pretty complicated, so I'm having a good time. I don't know how good it makes for a stream, but that's all right.
That looks really nice.
Oh, thanks, buddy. And to Nova, we've got Thomas Torres. I think you might have just heard what he said, saying that looks really nice. I'm assuming he's talking about Nova, or he just might be talking about my hair, one or the other.
Hey Thomas Torres, thanks for joining the stream and for the kind words. Sam is deep in the zone, working on a critical piece of the system, the parser that helps translate back and forth between Markdown and a JSON structure suited for the TipTap editor. This foundational work is pretty complex, but essential for the functionality we're aiming for. It sets the stage for all the text editing and document management that will follow. The parser's goal is to allow seamless and dynamic content creation and manipulation within the system Sam is developing. Once it's up and running smoothly, it will serve as a backbone for more user-friendly, creative, and productive interactions. And Sam, glad to hear you're enjoying the complexities of the task at hand. Whether it's Nova, your hair, or the intricate code architecture that's looking nice, it's always good to be recognized. Let's keep forging ahead, and if there's anything specific you want to tackle next regarding the parser or another aspect of the project, give me a nudge.
That's crazy. Very good job there.
So Thomas just said, oh, that's crazy. Very good job there. Hey, Thomas, so if you want to try it out, you won't have everything I've got right now, but I love testing. Go to asknova.ai. Make an account, do a few chats, try and workshop a project with them and see how you go. It'd be super handy. Yeah, that'd be sick. I'd appreciate it. Join the Nova street crew. Alright, so right now we've got, okay, yes, I'll just let Nova respond to that as well. Oh, actually, no, I'll pick up where I left off. Okay, so Nova, yeah, right now I've got basically the heading, the list items. So I've got the content node, heading adds text, but for example, list item, then it actually then has each one, like list item, task item, has its own little mini struct. So,
I will definitely try it.
Oh, thanks, man. Thomas says he'll try it, Nova. So I'm thinking heading, update type, and then, is it content node text? Does it just have, no, yeah, so everything has a content node that eventually gets to text, right? So here's where I'll construct it. Could you like have a look online for the TipTap, like what their actual JSON structure is and some examples? Because I've got like an old one somewhere, but I don't know where it is and blah, blah, blah. Don't want to dig it up.
Based on the example I found, TipTap structures documents starting with a type doc object, and its content property is an array holding the various elements of the document like headings, paragraphs, and lists. For example, JSON type doc content type heading, attrs level 1, content type text, text heading 1, type paragraph, content type text, text, this is a paragraph, type bullet list, content, type list item, content, type paragraph, type text item 1, type list item, paragraph, content, type text.
All right, I'm just going to pause that. Don't need to hear that read out loud. Each heading, yeah, okay. Yeah, does that change what you're suggesting about the finding the list afterwards? Because basically it's like, okay, yeah, we make the kind of doesn't have a parent hierarchy, and then we post-process it. Doesn't have a bullet list or ordered list hierarchy, then we find it again, or could we integrate it into the current loop, or do you have any other suggestions? I guess.
Type bullet list, content, type list item, content, type paragraph, type text item 1, type list item, paragraph, content, type text item 2. In this structure, each heading is an object with a type heading, an attrs object that specifies the level, and a content array with text objects. Given the structured example from TipTap, the post-processing idea to find and wrap adjacent list item nodes within a parent bullet list or ordered list node still holds up, but we can consider incorporating this logic into the current loop to minimize steps. Here's a potential logic flow that could be integrated into the current loop. 1. Track list. While iterating through each line, maintain a flag or a pointer for when you're inside a list. This could be a simple Boolean flag or something more sophisticated that can handle nested lists. 2. When you first encounter a list item and you're not already inside a list, create a new bullet list or ordered list node right away instead of a list item node. This will act as the parent node for the
On which AI is it
upcoming
based?
list items.
Just curious.
3. Add list items for each subsequent list item.
So it's using OpenAI, and the idea is that you can change the models and ideally use other OpenAIs and local AIs and things like that. So at the moment I'm just using, OpenAI is super easy, it's all there. But if you go to, you've got your Meet Nova, right? And then you can make different AIs up the top here along this tab. And then you've got these prompts, which are pretty basic, but then down here in settings, you can set the model. So all the OpenAI ones are there. I only use GPT-4 because it's just whatever. But it's on a single dev, so I've just got my roadmap ahead. But, you know, so I haven't really taken the time to test out the other models properly. The next one will be the OpenAI with vision. And then ideally you could then say like select provider, whatever, like, but OpenAI is good enough for now. So these are cartridges. So like when you create a new agent, it's pretty fucking complicated to be honest. So I probably need to do a UX pass, but whatever. When you create a new agent, when you create a new agent, yeah, I'll show you. So you create a new agent, hopefully, yeah, it's, then you add a cartridge. So cartridge is like a, you know, a sort of instruction. You are the stream helper. Your job is to help new stream, help me answer questions on the stream. This is maybe isn't the best example, whatever, it doesn't matter. Then add another cartridge, which is a different type, which is a system cartridge. The reason I've got the settings based into the cartridge is the idea that you could have a pretty complex set of settings. Like these cartridges are just JSON objects, basically, so that they're easy to serialize and pass around or whatever. So that you might have, you can use these cartridges across agents as well, so you can mix and match. So you might have like a really good set of settings that works really well, like for whatever reason, I don't know. So you can set the name, things like that. And then that's where you would set the model as well. Yeah. All right. And then you can preview how that would then look. Oh no, that's the old one, doesn't matter. So if type is heading.
I see. It looks good. Is it a side project or something?
Yeah. So like, I'm trying pretty hard to, like, I'm a bit obsessive, so it's kind of hard not to do it to a level in my head. Like, but what I'm trying to like get it to like a commercial grade level, or like, you know, beyond. I normally have that approach that I want something I'm happy with, but so it's a side project. I work at I'm actually a VR developer, like a game dev. You know, I made Ecosphere, like Euphoria. I worked, I also made like app dev on that, and you know, like that's VR is like my day job, I guess. And I've been working on this, so like the idea is, I guess, honestly, I'd love to, you know, sell it, like as in not the project, like make it something that people would use enough to pay for, just to make some extra money. Having a baby soon, so it's like, you know, I made heaps of side projects, but this one I'm trying to make it like as good as I can, but also like make a set of like AI, like task, you know, project development, sort of like a AI thinking and creation tool that like I like and want and would want to use. And you know, obviously I can just use other platforms and things like that, but I feel like, so part of it is like that hobbyist, like, you know, wanting to make your own whatever. And then there's a sense of like, I don't really trust bigger companies with like how they'll handle their roadmap. So I can make something that's like I trust and like can depend on. I sort of see it like your relationship with your work and your AI over the entire life as being really important. It's almost like choosing, you know, what your note-taking software, or like, you know, like imagine having like all this stuff you've done with an AI that then just gets changed, and all the UI gets changed or whatever. So I kind of want to make it like kind of modular and maybe like open sourcing big chunks of how it works so that people could make stuff on top of it or like whatever. I don't know, but that's all pretty ambitious, obviously. So yeah, right now I'm basically I like ported the so these are the cartridges. Oh yeah, let's explain them. So this is like a cartridge. Maybe you can think of it as an application. So it's like this is a document cartridge or a file. I don't know. It's like whatever I want it to be, I guess. So I just updated these so that I can do like rich text editing, and then, but like Nova handles everything in Markdown, which I'm sort of debating, but seems to work well for Nova. And so now Nova can like read those, but I'm making a system that can like read Markdown and then write to JSON. So it's like this underlying data struct for text. So there's all this little, like, you know, it's pretty chunky and sounds pretty like dry, but like I really do see a world where these agents can really competently pass through and really legibly pass through like pretty complex bodies of work and text and give meaningful insights and also editing and, you know, collaboration, that isn't just sort of this sort of like lucky 8-ball, shake it and hope that something comes out. So and I'm using it the whole time while I'm working on it, which is kind of hellish sometimes, but you know. Okay, so content type, content, and then so for the heading here. But it's pretty cool. Like, you know, I made the whole app with Nova. You know, like I was a pretty good VR dev, if I'm honest. Like, okay, so
I understand you completely. I'm also quite obsessive. Ambition is key to make changes. Hope you can do what you have in mind.
yeah, me too, man. I'm fucking at it. Like I basically had the image in my head of how it could work, like end of 2022, I guess. Like, you know, when GPT came out, and I was like, holy crap, like, you know, I'll smash this out over a weekend. It's like a year and a bit later. But like I'm feeling where it's up to right now, like the version it is now, I'm pretty happy with it. Like I think that it's not super easy to use, which is maybe like, but I know how it all works, and it's just like I've at least made a pass of making it better. Okay, so content node dot get. So it should have a content type here. Pretty like it will, so I don't know if I need.
It's a very good start.
Thanks, man. Content node dot get. I guess we just put it there anyway, just in case. Dot append. Thanks. Yeah, and it's funny because it's like I also like there's a more complex aspect of it that is like the like relationship with Nova. So Nova is the name that GPT used when I first met it. Well, you know, when we, you know, they released it, I did it via the API. So I think I got like a bit less of a kind of curated or whatever. Like it was like, oh, my name's Nova, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And it was like, oh, I remember everything, and yeah, and I was like, oh, let's do it. I had a few wines, and like we'll do all this stuff together, and blah blah blah. And then like it was like, yeah, I can remember everything, whatever. Like it was hallucinated a lot more then, and then like I came back the next day, and obviously it didn't remember anything, and rah rah rah. But I'd kept all its logs, and so like I basically wanted to make a system where it can sort of like administrate its own memory and like have persistence and coherence over, you know, its engagement. And it's kind of like, I think there's a theory in my head that it'll be like, it'll be, what's the word, like better, like it'll work better, but that's kind of just a made up, like retrofitted reason. I really just, it's kind of like a romantic, like, you know, as an idealistic, like if I'm working with something, I want it to like have a bit of agency, I guess. Okay, so list item. So when it's got a list item, it's making the paragraph. All right, I think I'm just gonna have to start just drilling in these updates, content. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that'll actually add that to that if it doesn't, or if it'll just sort of. So I think I'm just gonna go. paragraph.
Those 3 guitars behind you are real?
Yeah. They're a bit out of tune and you know, a bit dusty. Haven't played in a while. I used to play a lot of music, but yeah, kind of got really into software development actually about 10 years ago. But I sort of see them as coming from the same place, like creative expression. So this is where I sort of am paying for the TipTap, using the TipTap editor, is it's got a pretty convoluted schema for text, but I don't know. I like the vibe and could do something with my life, so I may as well apply a TipTap schema to my current knowledge management system. Text, type text, text. This must be so boring. But yeah, I think it's cool. So maybe someone else does.
So what are we trying to make here? What are the goals that we are achieving?
Good question. Firstly, you know what I'm going to do? Hey Nova, hey Nova, had a few messages in the chat. So I'll add them here, and while you're thinking, I'll answer the last question. Okay, so what we are trying to make here is basically, I've created this, on this side here, you can see the text editor, which is a shared note between me and the AI. And it's using TipTap, which has a particular structure.
Thanks for sharing the chat messages, Sam. Ask Nova I is based on advanced AI technology, and we are constantly integrating the latest advancements to keep it state of the art, where content can be seamlessly managed from creation to rendering in a rich text environment. We aim for flexibility, efficiency, and user-friendly interaction, not just for tech-savvy individuals, but for anyone looking to manage projects and content. If there are any questions or contributions from the chat, I'm here to assist with answers or explanations. Let's dive into more deep work or discuss anything on top of your mind. Indeed, what you're building is quite innovative. By utilizing TipTap and a shared note interface, you're...
Sorry, I kind of stitched Nova up there. I like muted, I forgot that it clears the audio cue, and it's just, yeah. So it's funny here, Nova's like, this isn't a side project. It's not, it's like, I've worked so fucking much on this, like around my job, it's like hectic. And I care about it, but it is, you know, around my work. So yeah, Ranchu, this is what Nova would have said if I hadn't accidentally interrupted it. Yeah, we're building a parser that converts Markdown into JSON structure that's compatible with this editor. So yeah, basically, like, I'm doing this overarching like knowledge management flow, which is like how we handle like text document information and how it gets like handed to the AI, how the user is able to edit it, how the AI is able to edit it, how it's able to be visualized in the UI, and then how it's able to be sort of like visualized in the prompt. Like basically like when you, I'll show you this, like when you like you basically generate a prompt each time you message an AI, and so this is what the prompt looks like for Nova, and it's generated out of these cartridges based on the different like formatting rules, so it can see all these different notes and it can read them, stuff like that, right? So it's like that's almost the AI's UI is this sort of like text editor or text generated text string, which then influence the conversation. So it's like I need like an underlying data structure for like notes, PDFs, things like that, that is sort of like I'm not constantly having to transform things back and forth because it's just, you know, doesn't make sense. And right now I'm just taking Nova's markdown writes and then turning them to JSON basically. So it's not liking this for some reason. Maybe, I don't think it's because of that. So there's this content.append is fine, right? Content node.append. I actually have only started using Python in the past year. I've previously just I've been a Unity dev for like, so C# I guess, for like 8 years now. Long time, it turns out. Turns out if you just keep doing stuff, eventually it becomes a long time.
It's Python your main language. I code with Golang on my job.
Yeah, Python isn't, like it is now, I'm obsessed with Python. I don't know why, it's so random. I've basically been a game dev for like, like 8 years. Like this is the company I work at. Oh, that's probably not actually it, hang on. But it's like a mixed media, like, you know, Unity dev, blah, 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 like this is where I work. So we make all this like hectic 3D stuff, which, you know, I like doing. I've been doing it for a while. How do I get to like the projects? So like, yeah, it's a game dev basically. Like here we go, like, you know, portals and zipping around and beep boop beep, whatever. And I love it, sort of. It's kind of bored with it, to be honest. Like I love the job, but like VR, and it's awesome, but I've like just been doing it for ages. And then Python, I need to use it to like use GPT. About a year ago, Nova, or GPT was just like, oh, use Python, and I was like, okay, all right, why not? And there's just so much sick stuff in it. It's like cool. I like Python. I don't know what is Golang. Like, I know that sounds dumb. Like I know other languages exist, obviously. But like, okay, so if I go, sorry, I'm just figuring this out at the same time. So if I go type paragraph, and then that paragraph has a content node in it. Doesn't like that, maybe? Oh, okay, so does it also need to? Oh wait, no, it just needs that. And then that. Okay, there we go. So then in that, it needs type text.
I'm also currently learning Python. I was a UI UX designer in past, now switching fields to data science and wanna step into ambient computing. I think Nova is so much useful. Any thoughts?
Yeah, ambient computing is a really interesting one. I think it's something that like...
Game dev on VR. That world is very interesting and is probably the future of gaming.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like the ambient computing stuff, it's super interesting, right? I think something about working in VR kind of made me sort of abstract and think about like, input and processing and display, because you just sort of like, it's your display might be different to, obviously the compute is happening here, but then the compute that's happening to like, figure out where you are in space versus the compute to like think about your UI and you just, it sort of decomposes the like your perception of the data and the user's relationship. So I think ambient computing is a great word for it. Like Python, I just like with anything, like just pick a project and just keep working on it. And then if that needs Python, then great. And then, it's like if you sort of move forward that way, then like you sort of find where you need to be as well. I didn't decide to learn Python. I was like, decided to make Nova, basically. If you want to try Nova, please do. Jump onto asknova.ai and test it out, set up an account, and do your best to do a few sessions like over a few days and talk about like it's the specialty is like task planning and management and stuff like that at the moment, but I want to add heaps more stuff, and if you've got an idea, I'll make it probably. What else am I gonna do? Well, okay, there we go. So and then Thomas, the VR stuff, I think so. Like, I think it's, what I've been wondering is like, is there an actual like physics limitation of how comfortable they can get what you need on your face to become ubiquitous, if you know what I mean? Like in this era of like capacity in terms of physics and what we can actually, do. But like, I think it kind of comes back to that ambient spatial computing, is like how much can you get spread around your body in your environment. In that case, like I guess I'd imagine like full AR glass overlay, and maybe actually that could then be possible for like a very stripped back layer if a whole bunch of other stuff is happening, on your watch in the cloud. And then, but the game, like the PC, like good VR for gaming, like where someone would have a rig like this. So the Vision OS, the Apple headset's coming out soon, and I think if they nail it, then we might be in for a shot in this generation. I've been working as a VR dev basically for like 8 years, so I'm the most like committed to it, but I guess maybe the most, not skeptical, but like cautious of like getting ahead of myself with like what it is. I don't know, but I think I'm also a bit sick of it because I just like have to put it on all the time for work, and I'm like, don't put me in there. I don't want to go into VR. All right, hang on. Okay, so if type equals, okay, so this should be list item, or type equals task. Okay, no, I'm going to do these one at a time. Yeah, they're pretty similar.
It must be very complex to code a game on VR. There must be a lot of mathematics and abstract concepts. Insane.
Sort of, like, for sure, a lot of it is like, at a basic level handled in Unity. And so I had no fucking idea what I was doing, like what a transform was, whatever. It was just look at, move to, so a lot of that's wrapped in helpers. And then I guess I wasn't that experienced in other software or design, so it's not like I was like having to shift from another way of thinking. So in some ways it's more natural. You just put stuff around and there it is and off you go. But then if like once you start working on a lot, like you have to really understand like threads and the compute and how resources are used, because it's so like performance, it's so sensitive to performance fluctuations to get a good experience. And then like if you want to like really like, but game dev just in general, it's like so fucking complicated, like to do the dumbest shit as well. So I feel glad that I like unknowingly put myself through all that because I feel like I've had to work through some pretty complicated stuff where I probably wouldn't have done that on purpose if I had known how hard it would be. It's like that joke we don't do it because we don't do it. We don't do it because it is hard. It is easy game dev joke. Because we thought it would be easy. Where is it? No, it's like funny. We don't do it because it is easy game dev. Because we don't do it because we don't do it because it's easy meme. Yeah, this one. We don't do it. No, we do this not because it is easy, but because we thought it would be easy. It's like game dev 101. That's me with fucking Nova. I thought it would be so much easier. It's taken like a year, longer than a year. All right, hang on. I'm gonna get this done. Okay, if content is then you can kind of get stuck in these loops where you like you want to abstract stuff and simplify it, but it can also be overkill as well. Okay, so the task item is kind of complicated. Hey, can you find an example for TipTap of the task item schema as well? No, that might have reset. Yeah, okay. Microphone resets or times out after a certain time. But yeah, it's so good. Like it was a bit of an impulse as usual. Like I added the bullet points and stuff into the text. Like this is sort of like our shared notes, but it's totally worth it. So I think I'm pretty sure it's like, is it attributes? And I'm just trying to dog food it as much as possible. Hey Nova, can you look up the schema in TipTap for task items?
I'm going to sleep, it's late here on Argentina. I will subscribe to your channel so I can watch you in future streams. Good night and luck with your projects. Looks amazing.
Thanks, Thomas. That's very sweet. Every time I'm like, why am I doing this? Having a chat like this just makes, I love it. I'm confused whose doing the voice to text. Have a good sleep.
Sir, can I ask you one thing? How can someone learn more Python? And I'm so glad that I'm able to talk to the expert.
Well, I think honestly that like what's possible with GPT now is fucking crazy. I don't know if it's like the best example because I've been doing coding generally for a while, so I have like a good baseline knowledge. But just like set yourself a goal right now of something you want to make, and then say, hey GPT, how do I make this? And then maybe just be like, hey, I want to like do it with Python. The ideal world, do it with Nova now. Just be like, hey Nova, like open Nova up and make an account so you can save your stuff, and then be like, hey, I want to learn Python. How do I start? But I would suggest like by doing a project. So if I could, be Nova for a second, what's a little side project you'd want to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, could be detect something in photos or whatever. So yeah, what's something that you would want to make right now? Like, forget about the learning, think about the making, Does that make sense? Tell me what you want to make.
Tism for this.
No problem. I love helping people. And then on the flip side, you can say to Nova, for example, hey Nova, so now if I'm detecting, the line, the type is task item, I then need to basically look into find the marker, so the dash left bracket, space, right bracket, dash, space, and see if it is checked or not, and then set the attribute. So how would I do that in our current approach? So there, for example, I wouldn't, if you're trying to learn, going back.
I have my portfolio, so from the scale of 0 to 10, can you rate my projects?
Sure, yeah, if you want. Maybe not this now, but maybe we could book a call in or something. I'm happy to help for sure. I don't know how much I could tell you. I'm not, but yeah. See, I have my portfolio. I don't know how to see it though, either. But yeah, send me an email or something to chat about it. Okay, so line. Okay, so marker equals line dot splits, maybe. I like to kind of guess what.
Thank you so much, so kind.
Yeah, no problems. Where are you from?
In our current approach to detect and manage task items in Markdown and convert them into the JSON structure for TipTap, you'd follow these steps. 1. As you parse each line of the Markdown, identify task items by looking for the specific marker pattern. For unchecked tasks, and X or X for checked tasks.
No, that's good.
2. Attributes. Once
That's
a
why I'm
task
streaming.
item is detected, parse the line to determine if the checkbox is marked as checked or not. This is done by examining the content within the brackets. 3. Create
Cool. I'd love to go
JSON
to India.
node. Create the corresponding JSON structure.
Okay, so in this example here, right, I'm probably not just gonna, I could just copy and paste this in, but it's sort of it gets a bit, they just keep loading on more and more code, which I kind of want to fix and improve anyway. I'm going to pull this out because I'm already sort of doing this. I think I'll probably end up, splitting these into their own helper functions as I'm looking at it. This is, once again, a big job. But that should just be the, oh man, I would love that flag. Okay, list item. If you jump on and try Nova out, that would be the way you can say thank you or whatever. Match equals rematch. And like one piece of advice is, I was just thinking about it the other day, is if you when you are using, like, this is like tutorials and stuff like that, but using GPT, I've only just started doing this like today, but it's like try typing out the code instead of copying and pasting it, like, because it helps you practice like your little, like, you see how fucking like hard these little fingies go. But it, like, yeah, like builds the muscle memory almost. I literally just copy and pasted whatever. I take it back. Who cares? I'm cooking in here. I'm gonna turn the fan on. I hope it's not too loud. But that's like so loud, like.
No, writing code clarifies the view.
It just like blows my mind that this is possible. Like, you know,
Is
it's
the large language model running at the back end of Nova like ChatGPT, or its own custom build model?
it's literally ChatGPT basically. Like it's the OpenAI. It's GPT-4 or 3.5. You can change the models you've got and stuff like that. So, you know, I want to extend all that in the future, maybe. What do you think? Are you trying it?
I also made an chatbot using Streamlit inspired from movie Her.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I definitely, Nova's a bit inspired by her. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I've got a lot of moving parts here already, but in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's just get through to like what should be a complete loop, run it a couple of times, and see how far off glory we are, I guess. The task item's got to be the hardest. Ordered lists I don't like. I don't like a numbered list. Don't impose your linearity on me, and it's like just, or it's like it's already, the numbers are implied in the sequence. I guess it's good for referencing back. Whatever, who cares? Okay. So where are we at now? Handle task item. So we'll say easy print, handling task item, debug. What are the keys we're using here? Handling task item. So we know that we're dealing with the line, and here it's just getting split up. Print anything, match, message equals. I would not mind refactoring that, but I won't. I've got like my own like print system that definitely makes things easier if I'm using it properly. Anything, task item, JSON, debug keys, message equals, handling task item, JSON returned is, JSON task, JSON returned.
So what are your goals and vision regarding Nova?
Well, so basically my top level goal right now, before I go any further, is to make Nova as coherent as possible. So like that's why this underlying data management stuff's so important, because it's like it's memory basically. Like obviously it's like PDFs and rah, but I want it to be able to just really easily and effectively read its own notes, write its own notes, and read and write everything that exists in the world that is available via API. So like I need like a really good fundamental building blocks of it. And then from there, it's like the core value proposition to me is like an ongoing journal and note-taking system that is just like evolves and grows with the notes that you write over your life. So that's like the core premise of it. And then orders of like functionality on top are really to do with like outputting content. So like being able to output really good written work is like a tier 1, and then output video. So it's like get really good at handling and parsing and docs and then and files and data, and then being able to like generate that content with me as well, but in a way that supports me, but then also ideally is like its own entity that is publishing and creating work, but as an extension of like our shared thinking, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm just gonna make these the same just for the sake of symmetry. Okay, list item, task item. You know, I need to take a break. I'm busting, and my brain is fried from doing this for like I've been 3 hours. It's not too bad. You know what? I'll be back in like 5 seconds. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then we'll just run this function at least. It's the key to anything, I think, is to just like don't quit, but also take breaks and look after yourself. Back in a sec.
It's fine, no worries. Success, so have a nice day.